gripped by delusions, fueled by a propagandized media, are basically demonstrating that they are essentially children.
What if all of this, is a simulation? I mean, it's a crazy idea.
If you've ever wondered what a scientific takedown of civilization would look like, you're in the middle of one. The globalists, in hundreds of white papers and scores of books that I personally read and reviewed, talk about how we're dumb animals and how they're this advanced breakaway species creating a separate or breakaway civilization. Yes, you're living in the middle of a science fiction book for real. There's a powerful video report up on Infowars.com, our investigative journalist John Bound from Infowars.com, titled, Trump Triggers Liberals and Globalists. Well, of course he triggers the liberals because they're not really liberals. These are the brainwashed, drone-like creatures raised by television in single-parent homes. I'm not bashing you if you're from a single-parent home. The point is, statistically, that's who they are. And they believe mainstream TV, mainstream news, and the government is their mommy and their daddy. And a great illustration of this is how they're banning words, banning the terms mother and father, saying don't show masculinity, that hurts women. It's all anti-human. But now across the United States, he lists it and shows the actual university websites and news sites are announcing Play-Doh, coloring books, blowing bubbles, all of this. So everyone's supposed to act like children and cry and literally roll around on their backs like a 2-year-old toddler and then rolling over and beating their fist in the ground. So first we heard, you're supposed to be a man when you're 13 or 14. I certainly was. Certainly acted like one. Wasn't that mature mentally, but I was going after women and standing up for myself as good as anybody. You arrest that now to like 18. Then you arrest it to 25, then 30. And then it goes on and on. You never grow up. You never learn to be self-sufficient. You're beyond domesticated. The domesticated animal, let's say a horse, if you dump some food out for it by its corral, it'll come over and eat it. They'll bitch about what it is and want you to come over and spoon feed it to them. And you can literally see these people as the dumbed down, desperate victims of the system. The majority of them are women, mainly white women. They married the state. They never wanted a man. They believed men were inherently bad. They were taught this from birth. Their mothers taught them this. And now they are completely tripled down on the system, and their goddess, Hillary, who would have just doubled their unemployment like Barack Obama did for black people, and it didn't get delivered. And so they're threatened by men working hard and women working hard and men and women getting along and coming together in that magic union that's been there since the beginning of our species. They're threatened by it because they've already been put into an alien vacuum of anti-human garbage. And like in the movie Omega Man, a great allegory is they've been hit by a virus that turns them into undead, and he finds the cure for them, and they say, look, we don't want it. We like what we are. And they kill him. And so that's the point we've reached where you see the science of it, and you see those that are susceptible to it, and then the upper crust management class that knows what they're doing at the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CNN. It is despicable to farm fellow humans like this. But as the minions learn, who are feeding on the lower farm produce, as the minions of the subhuman class learn, because the lower class is even seen as human, the elites hate you and their own children, their own families just as much. Everything they do is a manifestation of the sociopathic and psychopathic tendencies they have. And everything they do is a projection of, Trump wants fascism, as Hillary and Obama persecuted the press and launched all these wars and turned loose radical Islam worldwide, and everything else they did. Now they're reduced down to Play-Doh and blocks and crafts, and the schools put out the headlines, it's time for a cry-in. And everyone comes and collectively cries. And notice it's the big mega banks and the big mega corporations that 100% fund the curriculum and the directives of these schools. And while they fly around in jumbo jets with their string of 10, 15, 30 mistresses, like Eric Schmidt has, who he makes wear hoods over their heads when they come off the airplane so no one can identify them, you aren't allowed to have a woman because it's misogynistic. Or you're not allowed to have a man. So they live, we sleep. That archetypal image the Drudge put out, or the Drudge push, saying, feel the air, touch the water, look at the trees, look at the sky before it's too late. When Zuckerberg a year ago was walking into his big meeting with all of his minions seated, goggles on, they're no longer even bipedal. They are now crouching into the matrix, losing their humanity. So here's the thing. We can laugh all day at social justice warriors who've had their humanity taken from them and then are told to go out and fight and bring others down. That gets them ahead. It's not funny. because these were our fellow humans that did not get breast milk, most of them. Nothing against people that didn't get breast milk. There's some folks that are incredible that didn't get it, still were okay, but on average, the brain is about a third smaller when you don't get the breast milk. So if you would have been a genius, you're just normal. If you're going to be normal, you're going to be cognitively basically at a disadvantage. It's full of the exact fat, the exact sugar, the exact protein, the exact enzymes, the exact vaccines, the colostrum that your mother gives you in the first month. And they know when a baby's in a crib. This was all Skinner stuff from 100 years ago, that it doesn't connect with people as well, that it feels alone, that it feels desperate. Now, that person ever ends up being with somebody who loves them, they can actually bloom later. But it's meant to make you where you never have that connection because everybody else was brought up in a pod. And so it's the beginning of the end of humanity. This is all in the mainline psychology. The pop psychology is there to just keep you down. But in their own psychology, it's almost all weaponized, Pentagon control. But here's how the best laid plans of mice and men often go astray. In this tale of two cities, the best of times, worst of times, it's the very Pentagon people and psych warfare chiefs and folks that were compartmentalized that now see the full master plan that are the ones leaking the information. So it's the patriots, it's the true conservatives, it's the true liberals that blew this whole system wide open and have only begun to fight if this isn't reversed. The technocracy wants to revel in seeing general humanity fall. But before that happens, humanity will put up a fight. But I just want to ask the SJWs a question. Do you not see the patronizing of how you're supposed to play with Play-Doh and have cry-ins and just display how hurt you are to mommy and daddy instead of going out and changing things, building your own companies, building your own systems, writing your own literature, creating your own art, creating your own media, creating your new world? Instead, you're taught you whine to the system and cry supine on your back, prostrating yourselves before the idol of the corporate state. And the very corporate state that launches all the wars, dehumanizes, and does all this, and that runs the universities that you claim you're fighting, is really your mommy and your daddy. And here's the thing. It's not your mommy. It's just preparing you for the fall of civilization because they've already decided you don't matter and you don't have a future. Got another powerful video coming out in the next hour or so that is just over the top. I just left the office and I'm coming back, but I forget the exact headline I gave the guys, but I saw 60 Minutes that are demonizing Trump, asking, why are you causing violence? Why are your people racist with no proof? When 9 times out of 10, it's their people out burning and screaming racism and doing all of this with Leslie Stahl. And Trump said, well, that's happening. I'm very sorry, and stop it. You know, trying to be basically a unifier. They only took that more and said he admitted he was behind it. Trump has to point out they're the ones behind the riots. They're the ones doing it. His campaign head did do this morning. So a lot's happening. He's trying to be the conciliatory. You know, he's trying to bring people together, and they're just rejecting it because they're never going to accept it because they're stunted people that hate real winners and hate Renaissance and hate beauty. And so they obviously hate the liberty movement and admit they do in Donald Trump because they want to run stuff so they can run it in the ground. They're like a cosmic virus against our species. And we will not make it to space. We will not see the things the eye has not seen or the ear has not heard. We don't bring them down. Infowars.com/show. You know they can't stop us. You know we're winning. 80+ million people watched in the last week. We're only growing. We're changing the world. And this paradigm is shattered. The intel we're putting out is the reverse engineered globalist takeover plan. And we cannot be stopped as long as you take action. So I want to thank and salute you all. Now spread that link, Infowars.com/show. And know that we can turn the tide, and that taking actions like working out, it's fun. It builds our liberty muscles. It builds our intellect. And that's why anybody taking action is the resistance and is truly alive. It's not hard to suck air into your lungs. Some liberals will say, or trendies, that the government should put us all on a respirator because it's racist to make us breathe. You know, or maybe somebody on a respirator can't breathe, so it's not right that you can breathe on your own, so we're going to sever your spinal cord. You know, I mean, this is the thought that we're really putting out. It's totally evil. You have a mother or father, so we can't have a mother or father. This is demonic. This is evil. This is mental illness meant to sabotage humanity and have a bunch of arrested development babies who'll be rolled over by the globalists. But the globalists are a tiny group. No matter if they got 90% of the public to be zombies, it wouldn't succeed because still that cadre of 9% that was awake would overthrow their tyranny at its beginning. So, enjoy. The future is here. Victory is ours. You know, I just ended that transmission, but I want to add one more point of how they try to stunt people, they try to hobble people. If you go back to medieval England or France 500, 600 years ago, maybe a sheep herder would be allowed to have a dog, but they would cut some of the digits off of his paw so that he, quote, couldn't chase the king's deer or rabbits, because you weren't allowed to do that. It was feudalism. When you look at how blacks weren't allowed to learn how to read, or how Roman slaves or every color weren't allowed to read, this is how they hobble people to control them. And there are so many other examples in history. I'm going to do some other reports tomorrow on this, but this is absolute sabotage. It's why they give us the vaccines to lower our IQs. They admit that's happening. Fluoride, the White House Science Czar, again, wrote Ecoscience, admitting they put it in the water to lower IQ, lower fertility. This is a stunting by the ruling class to make us more manageable. And history's replete by it. And all they have is an arrogance to make the public feel small, unpowerful, so that we just kind of roll over and feel alone. But that's not working anymore. That's not happening. It's the old saying, it's totally true. Knowledge is power. They take real knowledge, they take real freedom, they take real independence, they take real privacy, and they give you a police state or surveillance grid, and then obsessions over what words to use, and give you a fake download of information to fight over. So you're a basket case and never know you were given a worthless education in college. So you'll be so basket case, bitching, loving the state, loving the college, you won't know they sold you an education that was defective by design, an education for a world that doesn't even exist, so that you can be this breakaway parallel system that serves them because you're so domesticated and so dependent on their system. That's called domestication. Look, it's very simple. If you don't teach yourself, they're going to program you with their whole system to fail. And it's not our opinion. These people that have been put into college, indoctrinated, they're not thinking, hey, the state runs this. Hey, the state will even bring up some real issues to make it sound reasonable. But you've been indoctrinated. You've been made to be a total loser, and it's so incredibly sad. Again, we've got to break these people out of this. These are literal victims like Matrix heads. We can do it together. It doesn't mean we have all the answers, but at least we're outside of the system and see classic authoritarian brainwashing when it's right in our face.
I want more candy. I want more video games. Lie.
And it's that type of behavior that spurred me to do the research to develop a true nutraceutical formula that was designed to smooth out and help children focus. All of our children are hit with modern mind control. Television, music, fast food, GMOs, sugars, you name it. Young humans have not yet developed their nervous system and are being hammered daily by globalist concoctions. It's no wonder they can't focus and calm down, and then are put on dangerous psychotropic drugs. Working with my team, we set out to find the best formula with the highest quality ingredients that children would actually like and take. We worked with the leading manufacturer in nutritional supplements that are safe for children to bring you the most affordable and powerful calming formula out there. Introducing Child Ease with herbs and calming extracts like chamomile.